y'all, on this episode, I'll be discussing some of my favorite TV shows and things I think a lot of people should check out and watch. The first one, we will be talking about the OA. I am so happy that people are finally deciding to watch this show on Netflix. I've been a fan since the show first came out, and I watched it since it first came out, and it taught me so much stuff about not only the reality that we live in, the things outside of our explanation, the things outside of whatever it is that we grasp as our normalcy, okay? This show is absolutely amazing and well put together, and I was so disappointed when they ended the show, but I understand why they did, because it was making too many people aware, okay, of what's happening, what's really going on. The next show I want to mention, Three Body Problem. I am so ready for people to get into this series. Now, Three Body Problem is a book, and I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't put this show on Sci-Fi, the Sci-Fi Network. However, huge fan. The show was amazing. And we're going to start breaking down a little bit of this series because a lot of people really need to watch Three Body Problem. It's a serious issue that I think we will face one day. Yes, that may sound delusional, but let's get into it. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up Three Body Problem is because I've heard about this rumored ship that's headed toward Earth, which coincidentally sounds very similar to the show Three Body Problem. And in this series, it's basically about how these people made contact, okay, with whatever they made contact with. And these beings are so intelligent that the only way that they realize how to communicate, how to solve the issues that are happening on their planet is by turning it into a video game, which is why I will never wear any of those Meta headsets. No shade, Meta. I'm not putting that on my head. I don't trust it, okay? Especially after you watch this series. Hopefully this video doesn't get banned or they don't mute my sound, because people need to hear how important it is. You need to watch this show, okay? Now, because I'm a person that takes a lot of things that's scientific to literal extents, I love how the people who haven't seen it yet won't understand what I'm saying until you watch it. So for all of you scientific people out there, the geeks, the nerds, the brilliants, the geniuses, enjoy my commentary. So first things first, I noticed that in the series, when they turned this into a video game, everything about it was strange to me. The programming was way too advanced. The connection to your natural biosphere, your body, right? It could read everything. The measurements of the energy you're giving off, your temperature, your blood pressure, your pulse, everything. And I always thought that's strange. Another thing, it's so realistic that you cannot tell the difference of it being a video game or real life, which is very interesting because even in the game, people said they felt like they actually died, right? Which furthermore pushed me to question something about what we grasp or understand as reality, okay? And it also made me understand that those beings have a higher understanding of what reality actually is because of how advanced they made this said video game. I'm like, okay. Now, in particular, the issue that they're having is that they are a species of beings that need water to survive or live. Okay. Now, a lot of people be like, well, okay, doesn't everything? Okay, I want to break that down to you. They need water to live because they are an advanced computer. It's just that simple. And I figured it out because I'm like, they have to drench their entire body in it to survive. So I was like, okay. And I know y'all think, what do you mean? If you've ever been around any type of computer, technology, or systems, you have to turn them off completely. This is why I believe in giving all of your technology a break. And there are days where I don't even use my phone or I don't use my computer or something like that for days, because the system needs to cool down. And you cannot just throw water on something like a computer or a phone because there's a high possibility that it'll break or be destroyed and you can't use it again. So I realized they are examples of beings that are like a supercomputer that needs to be cooled off, okay? And because they have to drench their bodies back in water to come to life, they also have the ability to like dehydrate themselves, kind of like we would with food. You dehydrate yourself completely and then they roll themselves up, kind of like dehydrated fruit, and then they put themselves away until they're ready to be taken out again to be thrown into water, right? But here's the problem. Basically, the planetary alignment that they live in, okay, They understand planets by rotation of what we understand as gravity, right? Which is like the electromagnetic field. Now, I don't necessarily believe in gravity, as crazy as that sounds. I think it's a made up word and it never made any sense to me. And that's what people are like, what do you mean? Okay. Gravity is basically the reason that they're claiming that we're basically on the ground. But I don't believe that. I believe that's something we're taught, so we believe it. And if we didn't believe it, I think everyone would be able to fly. And how I think this is because in the electromagnetic field, when we first learn about that in like middle school, and they teach us about how the planets are all aligned like this, and then we're this close to the sun and da 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 da, I think all of that's bullshit. I think the only reason why the planets are aligned the way they are is because of electromagnetic fields. And we ourselves are electromagnetic beings. So the only reason why it's staying in place is because all planets have some type of electricity or magnetism in them. Therefore, that's why we're here. That's also why it's able to stay aligned. I don't think gravity is real. I just think it's something that people made up and we believe it. Another thing, basically, they said that the sun rotates around their planet to a certain point, and then eventually it gets so bad that the sun burns up their existence so that they cannot survive. And I thought to myself, there's a reason why they can't survive. And I'm going to explain to people why. Now, this is my theory of the series, Three Body Problem. I think the reason why they can't survive is very simple. They're not meant to continue on biologically. They're not meant to advance. Because if every time you go to a different planet, and you're hoping to solve your issue, and the issue is about the planetary alignments and the electromagnetism, it made me realize they're not electric magnetic beings, okay? They're a different type of being, and I mean like in a 3D level, like a physical level, like how we are as what they say human beings, like how we have different layers of body. They don't have that. Now it makes sense why they keep saying it's a three-body problem, and they claim that these three suns are rotating around, and every time it does, it disables their earth and it's destroyed. And now I see why it's destroyed. It has more so to do with the fact of, I'm serious, I don't think they're meant to continue on their existence. And I also feel like there's a reason why their bodies are created like that, the physical bodies they have, which is why they have to be thrown into water. They don't have a multi-layer body like we do. They don't have the science, technology, or whatever to recreate that. I think that's something that they try to do, but they can't. The most they probably could do is clone something, but a clone is nothing but a shell. You know, that's not the same as something that's been created, we'll just say, by higher beings. It's not created by the creator. The creator created us to be a multi-dimensional and multi-layer person. But I realize there are other existences where they don't have this capability. They are not a multi-design being. They are just a shell, and anything can come in and out of said shell. But we have multiple bodies. And every time they mention this, I rewatched the show again because I became more fascinated with it as I watched it. And in particular, they were talking about these things called sophrons, which sounds a lot like seraphims, which is what God describes as angels. And in the series, I thought, how interesting that they're describing it that way. They also are describing what it is to be seen from a third point of view perspective, a first point of view perspective. And they're basically able to see all these things from different perspectives. And I thought that's very interesting because that sounds, again, like a seraphim angel that God is describing that has the ability to see things from all perspectives or point of views or this, that, the third, okay? Like the eyes and stuff that they're describing it as. So then I thought to myself, if they can see everything and hear everything all at once and do all this, the difference is they're not omnipresent. And why I say this is like interesting. It's something that sounds very similar to the creation of something like what we would describe as God, but it's not. And how I know it's not is because of every time they go into the issues they're having with the rotation or pull of the three different suns. And I'm always like, why is it that no matter what, their life seems to end? I will make a part 2.